Good afternoon. Welcome to Estrategias Militares. We are live right now, April 24, 2026. The Iranian regime is feeling the pressure from Donald Trump, and the naval blockade is about to collapse Iran's oil capacity. Family, your likes, your comments. This is Estrategias Militares. All the information about what's happening right now, live, right here. Let's get started. Good afternoon, family. How are you? How are we doing? It's Friday and you can feel it, especially in Iran. Oh. This weekend could be a special weekend. The market's closed today. Iran has a problem right now. Well, it has several. The problems for Iran are piling up. We could put it that way. We could say that the problems for Iran are piling up and in an excessive way. Right now, the regime has two important points. One, budgetary pressure, which means they don't have a dime. That is, they don't have money to pay for public services. And also services of the dictatorship. Revolutionary Guard, army, regime supporters, all those parasites around the regime. Those who claim loyalty to Khamenei to the death, yet flee when tested. They're there just to get a sack of rice. I'm not mentioning the rice for no reason. It's because Iran says the United States has captured a ship full of rice. A sack of rice, food, some smuggled dollars. And then there are those who really believe in this whole story. Bahe, Aini, or whatever his name is, Abani, or someone like Rezai, who are fanatics. These people are beyond saving. The jihadism syndrome has completely overwhelmed them. And then there are ordinary people who are the majority in Iran, are suffering hardships, not from the weather, which, by the way, I was looking yesterday. There's something curious that we have to see today. Since the war began and the entire satellite and communication system in Iran was destroyed and they stopped building or being able to build new ones, missile silos in the mountains. It started to rain. It started to rain, the swamps, the reservoirs, the lakes are recovering, the rivers are alive. We'll now look at images that caught my attention. I don't believe in coincidences. Iran claims they've destroyed electronic warfare devices that were diverting clouds from their territory. The regime's fanatics, that is, the Ayatollahs, are saying that it's a gift from God for the holy war against the great Satan. A reward. And I have another explanation of my own. I'm going to tell you now what the hell is happening with the climate in Iran. And we're going to see the images as well, now that we're here. First show of the day. We have time to look at this in detail. But as I was saying, then they have that problem, that big problem of nothing more and nothing less than their oil storage is full. And people will say, well, if they can't store it, they just shut down the oil well, stop the machinery. And that's it. And when the war is over, they just hit the button again and start pumping, drilling, and extracting oil again. It doesn't work like that. This is like a nuclear reactor. You can't just shut down a nuclear power plant. You say, well, we turn off the lights, leave, and the reactor shuts down. The reactor stays hot. You have to cool it down. That reactor's output is reduced gradually in stages. And there's always a system that has to keep cooling the reactor because it's really, really hot. If it doesn't get cool, we have a Chernobyl. Sorry, without cooling, we risk a Chernobyl. That's why a system must cool the core. with oil wells, even though it might sound a bit crude in this context, we can also apply that theory. Why? For oil extraction, a lot of chemicals are injected to either dilute or make the extraction much easier. If those chemicals stay in that well, which have already been injected months ago, if they stay there, they dissolve the oil, lower its quality a lot, and the oil becomes useless, which forces you to continuously extract oil. Or your capacity later, when you want to reactivate the oil well, won't be the same. The machinery gets damaged, the whole system gets damaged just because you have to stop it. Oxygen. What you're hearing is having to stop production, a painful or much bigger problem. Oxygen. Continue extracting and discarding oil out in the open. I don't know if now they're going to use one of those dry lakes they have around and fill it with oil. That could be an option too. How desperate must Iran be that they even have to mobilize 33-year-old oil tankers? Some viewers of this channel weren't born when one of those ships was built. Just to understand the situation. The regime, which knows this, is currently desperate and will probably start making selections. And here's the worrying part of the story. And don't be surprised if this happens within hours. It's possible they might try something. The entire fleet of ships they've had sitting out there for years, ships they hijacked that were empty, filling them with oil, that would be one of the steps. In the Bandar Abbas area, they have a sort of floating scrapyard there where they can try, well, to send those ships, send them north to Karm Island to fill them up. They might even do it by rowing or by towing them because the engines might not work or they'll have problems, or who knows, really. Who knows the real situation of those ships and what's happening there. We don't have recent satellite images of the Bandar Abbas area simply because there's military censorship, like with all these things. But Iran could also try in the next few hours or days. They could try to capture an empty oil tanker. To seize a super tanker, one of the many that are around here in this area. Look, find some excuse, or one that's nearby, one that's not loaded, or doesn't have any cargo. Boom, capture it and take it away to fill it up. Gracias. These ones, for example, are sailing. They're probably already loaded in car or someplace like that. Thank you. Take it here and carry out the loading operation. A dangerous loading operation. Bring the oil tanker to this area, connect the hoses, and go ahead, start unloading. What is its capacity? They say it's 32 million barrels. These tanks can hold the equivalent of 32 million barrels. It's not that there are 32 million barrels in there, but the tanks, the cisterns, can hold that capacity. It's at 90-something%. There's no more. In fact, even the storage infrastructure itself wouldn't be prepared for those levels. They're operating above the safety level where an accident can happen. That accident can lead to a fatal failure, and that fatal failure can turn that island into an atoll. So that people understand. I mean, because of the explosion. It could be something. I'm not sure, maybe something visible from space, even from the moon's far side. Something incredible. So Iran is in a very complicated situation that the United States is causing for them. And they are very desperate. Right now, they are furious. They are having problems with gas problems. Israel left their plant out of operation for a couple of weeks. We don't know whether they brought it back online because that isn't known. But there's the problem. What has he been saying? Because they've been talking about this issue. The Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, has been at the Pentagon today giving a press conference, and there has been quite substantial and juicy information. They've been discussing what's happening now and how it's being carried out. The military operations. All right? That's been discussed. Netanyahu has also spoken out today. There's a controversy with Pedro Sanchez. The United States wants to make his life within NATO unbearable. They can't expel Spain, but they want to make his life unbearable in NATO. The United States, and this hasn't been published yet, I'm saying it now, is considering closing its military bases in Spain and opening them in Morocco. And they're also considering recognizing Morocco's sovereignty over Ceuta and Melilla. That would be a very serious problem, which would leave Spain in a situation defenseless, because there are speculations out there, and there is a legal loophole that the cities of Ceuta and Melilla are not NATO territory or are not under the NATO umbrella. Therefore, God forbid, it could happen one morning. A march of thousands of people entering Ceuta and Melilla with the protection and support of the United States of America. That's where the president of Spain, Pedro Sanchez, the man of the ballot boxes, the votes and the ballots, has taken us. Today he has spoken and responded to Donald Trump, still stirring up the situation a little more. He's a man who likes to stir things up. The more he stirs things up, the better. All right. What's the status of the blockade right now in the Strait of Hormuz? What is the situation? What does the Secretary of War say? This is an official statement. We will review and study it. It's important to understand this, because regardless of whether there is an attack this weekend or not, we are going to find ourselves in a very incredible situation. By the way, doesn't that strike you? Our friends, people from the community who watch this channel, surprisingly every day, that there isn't a single tanker plane in the area right now, or that can be seen. Hashtag. Doesn't it seem suspicious to you that the cargo planes even are leaving and that very few are arriving? Doesn't it seem strange to you that maybe there's a patrol plane, a P-8 Poseidon, over the strait of Yemen? Doesn't it seem strange to you that there aren't any military aircraft in this area? The filters are the same, just like the ones we use every day. I'm just putting that out there. If it doesn't seem strange, what's happening right now? It's Friday, and the Pentagon knows it. The markets are closing. The window of opportunity open. I said not to make plans this weekend. We have an appointment here at Estrategia Militares. Subscribe, leave your likes, your comments, super important. By the way, today I think Dr. Irving Gattel returns to Enlace Judío after his experience with censorship. So let's watch it later on. We're live, family. We need a lot more likes. Please share on your social networks. There are 15,000 of us, but only 4,000 likes. That's a really low number. What's going on here? We're getting settled. You have to hit the like button. Secretary of War is the calm before the storm. Do you think so? Put it in your super chats and we'll discuss it. Here it is.
Nada fuera. We are in control. Nothing in, nothing out.
We are under control. Nothing gets in. Nothing gets.
Iran's battered military, Sifisquides, has sido una banda de piratas.
The Iranian Navy has been reduced to being pirates.
Sí.
He says they claim, but the world is really seeing what they are.
Criminals
Criminals
on the high seas. They don't...
of the seas. They control nothing.
They act like pirates.
They act like pirates. Gracias. They act like pirates. Thank you.
They act like terrorists.
They act like terrorists.
They are in control.
Are they acting like terrorists? Like pirates? What do you guys think? We now have some pirates in the Persian Gulf. What it could be? It could be that we now have the Persian Gulf version of Pirates of the Caribbean. But in the Persian Gulf. There's Iranians taking ships. All we're missing is an Ayatollah version of Jack Sparrow. This really is incredible. It's incredible. Some guys in boats hijacking ships. There they are. The Gold Pirates. Impressive. As impressive as Rizai, who is one of the terrorists linked to AMIA, so people can learn a little about who this person is. Iran, the United States. There is total unity, whereas in the United States, there is strategic confusion. It says here, with the strong hands of the brave Iranian sons. Thank you. And they show you the photo of the terrorist. The United States Navy sinking. It looks like a destroyer sinking over there. You know the latest thing he said? An aircraft carrier is a weapon. Very powerful, but its weapons are even more powerful than the aircraft carrier itself. He hasn't been buried yet. His name is Ali Khamenei, that person, he said he was going to sink the United States Navy. Well, it seems that Risa is taking up the torch, the great leader.
And he says he's going to sink.
Guided by Iran's brave sons and a united nation, the sound of America's broken bones will echo from the Persian Gulf to the Gulf of Oman for the whole world to hear. This is sinister.
The broken bones.
Look at what a blessed face the man has. They've got some nerve. We don't know if, honestly, I wonder what condition must Khamenei be in, biologically speaking, that they still haven't managed to find him, to bury him. I'm starting to think the latest video of Khamenei that's out there. Please don't laugh. Let's try to keep things a bit serious about this topic. There's the latest video of Khamenei. ¿Dónde está? Since so many things have happened and we've already made, I think, 500 videos since the war started. Find Khamenei's latest video now. Find it now. To see where this story stands. I think it started around here. The day before Khamenei is vaporized or turned into extract of etc. Khamenei. He posted a video. Seriously, Khamenei posted a video. And in that video, Khamenei's video, Khamenei appeared as if he was ascending to the heavens. Salía. At the moment of his death, at that moment, Khamenei appeared. Salía. From all of this, I mean, he was getting out of this whole situation. Let's see if it turns out to be true. A spaceship took Khamenei away to an unknown place. And from then on, the whole Khamenei story becomes a legend. It could be. I'm searching for the video to see if I can find one where you see the flash. Because this isn't it, I think. This isn't it. This is Khamenei speaking. The American empire is on the path to extinction, really on the way to extinction. Don't you miss it? They have economic, political, and social problems. Yes, they have some problems. Tremendous problems. There are some characters in this story. I'm not sure where the video is, but I'll search for it later when I have time. It's really great and futuristic. Well, they still haven't found Khamenei. So back to what we were talking about. Let's focus. It's just that when I see Khamenei, I go crazy. Rizai is one of the top targets for elimination by Israel. They have plenty of reasons. The United States as well, because he is one of those blocking the negotiations. And it's possible that there will be a surprise this weekend. It's likely that some kind of surprise might be found. Aratzi is going to do this weekend. Interestingly, he's leaving the country. Aratzi is leaving the country this weekend. Is it a coincidence or not? He's going to take a tour. Aratzi. Puestos. Let's put his picture here, the before and after, done. Aratzi, this is... Let's take a look at it. We'll see the after once this weekend is over, if we see it at all. Aratzi will begin traveling Friday night on a trip to Islamabad, to Oman, and to Moscow. They'll form a triangle, but not the Bermuda Triangle. And he says, well, I'm leaving on Friday. I'll be back next week. I have important matters to take care of outside Iran, and I'll be back next week. The first to abandon ship this weekend is Arachi. This is the first one. But look, what a coincidence. You couldn't leave. You come on Monday, you leave on the weekend, on Friday. Arachi leaves on Friday. No, Khamenei isn't alive. Khamenei has ascended. Let's speak properly. Yes, Khamenei has ascended. He's not dead, he's ascended. Israel launched ballistic missiles from the air, rock system, the Golden Oris, they also carried around, and he ascended. He ascended to the heavens. Khamenei. So Arachi has already abandoned the ship. Galibad, there are reports, and he hasn't come out to say yes or no either, that he has apparently resigned as the head of the negotiating team amid internal disputes. Saeed Jalili or Arachi are seen as possible replacements. Arachi is gone. Puede. They say it's a lie, that Galibad is committed to finding out if he's under house arrest, which could be the case. We haven't found out, maybe. He could be in a bunker, and he could be around there. So now we have one who's leaving this weekend, the other one disappears, and Pezeshkian is going from bicycle to bicycle traveling around Iran. He's out there traveling around Iran. What does the Secretary of War say about a topic that's important here? What's going to happen with NATO? What's going to happen with NATO? And what is NATO's role in the future of relations with the United States? Porque don't miss it, because why? It's going to be interesting. But in Gaza, things have happened. Do you remember a guy who was a spokesperson for Hamas? He had a name, his name was Abu Obeida. Does anyone remember Abu Obeida? Abu Obeida. The sinister one. He also was leader of Hamas for some time. Today, a rather curious video of Abu Obeida was published. Señora Abu Obeida is with his wife and children. A little cap, size 18, some Ray-Ban, style sunglasses, branded clothes. He doesn't go out dressed like the one who used to cover his face. And making his proclamations about destroying Israel, massacring the kibbutzim, and all these things. In the video, he is seen fleeing in an ox cart with donkeys, horses, or whatever they have. In the area where the civilians were. Adios. How do we know that? Because of the Mediterranean Sea. Goodbye. And that area we're looking at, someone who knows the Gaza Strip even a little, just a little bit. Gracias, understands the cliff area. Where all these people were as well. Which area is it? Well, it's the Al Rashid Road. Abu Obeida was hiding with his family in the safe zone set up by Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Así, called or wrongly called Al-Mawasi, like this. o de dar bala. To take shelter among civilians. But you won't see this on television. You won't see this on TV since they'll censor it. Because these things can't be known. Abu Obeid. Some said he was alive in Doha, in Turkey. No, he was there in Gaza, riding around on a donkey with his family. With his family. We still have to go to war in Gaza. Relax, that chapter will start soon. In fact, maybe today I talked about these things. But let's stick with the Secretary of War. What will happen with NATO? This has just been a pause, a kind of detour. We must stop in Gaza before leaving. Secretary of War.
It's also worth saying.
And it's also worth saying. Sorry, we have the clip. Over here, one of these places. It's worth saying, he says.
Esto no debería ser la lucha de America's fight alone.
Hola. This isn't America's fight alone.
We barely use the Strait of Hormuz as a country.
He says we're treating the world straight as if it were a country.
Energy doesn't flow through there.
He says the energy doesn't come out of there.
Mucha energía, and we have a lot of energy.
He says we have enough energy.
Just look at the new global Congo line.
He says, look at the new line. The Congo. What does he mean by this? It's just that he's talking. Yeah, look. He's referring to this topic. Let's see. Let's prepare it. To this. This is the line. The new oil line. All the oil tankers going. Where to? To the Gulf of Mexico. Gulf of the United States. Gulf of America. I say it at all levels. From Mexico. From America, from the United States, Trump's Gulf. Now it's the Gulf of oil. They're loading. They're loading this whole area. They come in, they load. They sell oil. They're making a fortune. It's insane. Pitt is talking about how much money the United States is making, saying they don't need the Strait of Hormuz.
Headed to Texas.
All of them are going toward Texas.
Rumba picture.
To get nice oil.
4. Europe and Asia have benefited from our protection for.
Europe and Asia have benefited from our protection for decades.
But the time for free riding is over.
But the time for free rides is over. The time for freeloading, for not paying, is over. What the Secretary of War is saying here is that it's about to end, to send soldiers to Eastern Europe, to send planes. Joint military exercises will end. They will be reduced. Investment in security for some countries will end. Military bases will be closed. The budget for those people will be reduced. A NATO cooperation center in Poland. The United States is not going to show up there. And a series of other things that will happen in the coming days and weeks.
Gracias, Americas riquezas
aliados que sean capaces.
are loyal
That they're loyal
to consumir su narbisat ways.
and that they understand that being an ally is not a one-way street. It goes both ways. It means here that not only does the United States have to go put out fires, but also that when there's a fire, others have to come to the United States aid as well.
Thank you. We can't count on Europe. We can't count on Europe, the Strait of Hormuz, much more than we do.
But they need the Strait of Hormuz more than we do.
Tener menos conferencias sencillas in Europa, and they might want to start having fewer talk, simple conferences in Europe.
And maybe they want to start talking less and holding fewer fancy conferences in Europe.
And get in a boat.
And get a boat. What a rant the Secretary of War just gave him. He just went on a huge rant against Macron and Starmer. He just gave him a brutal. Fewer conferences, fewer meetings, less talking. Get on a boat and get to work. He's referring to this. It looks like the movie Duel. The Duel. Macron and Starmer. Two Reds and one Destiny. Year 2050. We will open the Strait of Hormuz. To this. This is what he's referring to. The Secretary of War. The other day, we already showed it and said it. What they were doing was putting on a show. And the other day, when Iran said it would open the Strait of Hormuz, they came out, and this is super funny, they came out and said, well, now we're sending the Navy.
A meeting that brought together 49 countries.
We have had a conference with 49 countries.
A simple message.
With a very simple message, with a proposition. This was on April 17th. Today is the 24th, and none of the 49 countries' ships have arrived yet.
Complementary that the world needs the Hormuz strategy completely.
The world needs the Strait of Hormuz to be completely open. Because that's how we keep prices low for our people.
Stop the global economic damage.
And stop the global economic damage.
So we've all agreed there was real unity.
He says, everyone agrees that there is complete unity. In the meeting we just had.
We want to see a return.
And we want to see a return to negotiations.
A lasting agreement.
Acuerdo. And a long-term agreement.
Including the reopening of the strait.
Including the opening of the strait. He did this after Donald Trump and Iran said that the strait was already open. Day 17. They, hours later, set up a kind of conference, or G49. Who knows who they are? Maybe Uganda was going to send a boat or something. Countries like Nigeria were going to send some small boat. Or Ghana. Liberia, they likely plan to send Liberian to liberate the Strait of Hormuz. I'm just putting ideas on the table. We welcome the agreement that was mentioned before our meeting. We welcome the opening of the Strait of Hormuz, but we have that it is lasting and that
about this proposal.
And that you can work on this proposal.
And you can work on this proposal.
And you can work on this, says,
And anything that is necessary, we are going to do, because says we are very clear about this.
So that mission we are.
The mission we have put together.
Mission.
It's defensive.
A mission that comes after a fire.
And it comes after a ceasefire. Five hours later, Iran will close the Strait of Hormuz, and the mission of the Shadow Fleet to liberate the Strait of Hormuz no longer exists.
Hemos unido a grupo, vamos a jugar nuestra parte. That's why we've joined the international group, to show how we're going to play our part.
Yes, how are you going to play your part? You're playing your part very well by doing nothing.
ultimately, the
Strait of Hormuz remains closed. Nobody's doing anything or opening it. None of them are interested in sending ships just to have drones shot at them. They wouldn't want the ship's paint to rust or for there to be a fire. This worries me. I'm really worried. As a European, it worries me. If the EU lacks the military power to open the Strait of Hormuz, when it has to face some foreign threat, how is it going to do it? Thank you. Iran currently lacks a navy. We've seen the images. They just have boats. Anyone can take a boat and a rifle and go out to attack ships out there. They're boats. The United States greatly reduced their launch capability. See, we're trying to acknowledge that NATO's military infrastructure without the United States is incapable of launching a military deployment, to mount a military deployment anywhere in the world against a major power. It has been degraded by two countries, namely Israel and the United States, and that's how it is. I think we have a serious problem, but more than just serious, it's a national security risk for Spain and for a lot of countries. Well, Spain, we already know what shape the Navy is in. And then there's the United Kingdom, aircraft carriers with no crew that can't even move. A France that goes to Ukraine, but can't go to liberate the Strait of Hormuz. That's willing to send soldiers to Ukraine, but they're not going to send soldiers. Not the Strait of Hormuz, when the interests of all Europeans and fuel supplies are at stake. That they organize a conference when supposedly everything is already over, just to look good and show up there with a flag, excuse me, for the comparison, like Christopher Columbus, we come to liberate this land, things like that. This doesn't make sense. This is what the United States of America is referring to. That's why, precisely today, an email has been leaked showing that the United States wants to isolate a few NATO countries, specifically Spain. Así es. Specifically Spain. By the way, we have to look right now. Something that's interesting. At any moment, something is going to happen. Breaking news right now. At any moment, is it going to appear in the sky? A very specific model of airplane. A modification of a Boeing 757-200 called Clipper in the United States Army. And that's because it seems, according to CNN, although we already know they lie a lot, Some White House official has said that they're going to send Witkoff and Kushner this weekend to Islamabad for talks with Arachi. We don't believe it, right? We don't know. Maybe they're meeting this weekend in Islamabad, Pakistan. They traveled recently and returned, but no one has mentioned it. There was a trip and they came back. You remember, right? No one has come out to deny it yet. No one has come out to say it's true. Good. We are live right now on Estrategia Militares. And be careful because there's more. Be careful because things are escalating even further. We're talking about the European Union. The disaster union. Are you aware they're meeting in Cyprus now? In that meeting
Of the 26 countries, European Union.
Darauf drängen wir ja auch. Der Iran.
I'm not good at German, sorry. German is not my thing.
if a comprehensive agreement is to succeed, listen to what Europeans are about to hear. If a comprehensive agreement is to succeed, we are prepared to gradually ease the sanctions. But we're not at that point yet, because we need to achieve three objectives. There must be a swift and clear agreement to ensure free navigation in the Strait of Hormuz. We need a definitive plan for Iran's nuclear program. And third, Israel must not be threatened anymore. Iran must stop threatening Israel and its neighbors. I believe that the European Union still hasn't realized what has happened since the 28th, 50 days later, regarding Iran. 2,500 missiles against the United Arab Emirates, several thousand more against Saudi Arabia, hundreds against Israel. The Strait of Hormuz closed, ships set on fire sunk. But the European Union is willing to lift the sanctions on some guys who, in the first week of January, started the year by filling the mortuaries in Iran with 45,000 dead. Manos, the European Union of Human Rights, hand. Wonderful. It's a wonderful world. The number is already up to 58,000 dead, 136,000 wounded by gunfire, 23,000 wounded by sharp objects. $30,000 people who have been left blind. And the count keeps. There's a front page of an Australian newspaper. All those flotilla people, the cruise ship activists, they love these kinds of photos. The thing is, when photos show Iranians massacring their own people, they are unpublished. It's a cover, it says. The voices that were silenced by bullets. But we have the Supreme Pontiff, Leo XIV, And he says that he is with an image in his head that he can't get out, poor guy, and he's having a hard time.
I carry with me a photo of a Muslim boy
He says, I carry with me a photo of a Muslim boy
who during the visit to Lebanon, who was there during the visit to Lebanon, soy saintea con un terai. Welcome, Pope Leo.
Welcome, Pope Leo. I'm going to remove the image because otherwise we'll have problems later.
And then in this last part
And in this last phase or part of the war,
He has been murdered.
there are so many human situations.
so there's a human situation like this there. There are many human situations like these.
And I think we must have the ability to think
That it's better for us to have the ability to think this way. As a church, I say it again.
Pastor. Story
Como pastor,
cannot be in favor of war.
I cannot be in favor of war.
I want to encourage everyone
Amen. I would like to say amen. To motivate everyone in their efforts
to make every effort to seek
to find answers that help us build a culture of peace.
answers that come from a culture of peace and not from hatred.
Not from hate or division. That's very good, Leon. That's very good. It's great. What you just said is great. The other day, I think I have it saved here. The other day, huh? One second. Let's look for it. The other day in Nigeria, the Boko Haram guys and the Islamic State, they kidnapped 400 people. Many were Christians, are Christians, and will remain so because they will die for their faith. Many were students, and many were living a quiet and peaceful life. They have demanded a ransom. They had set a deadline for that ransom. The ransom has not been paid. And the executions have begun. My question is just one question. Do we care about everyone? Or only some? Is it positive for the Pope? I remember a Muslim boy who died. Or is it more correct for the Pope to say, I remember all the children who are dying because of the conflicts in the world? Because it's common sense to any ordinary mortal, not chosen by God in any way, any one of us. He is supposedly the chosen one, the one sent by God. Is it so hard to say the right phrase? Are we concerned about all the children? Are we concerned about the children in Israel, the children of Lebanon, Syria, the Druze, the Iranian children? The cover is there. Leon. Are we worried about women? It's a topic that sparks a lot of debate. I don't want to insist on this. Since we started discussing the Pope and Pedro Sanchez, our channel has faced much more censorship. I don't know why. It's unbelievable. That's why your likes are super important. That's why it's super important for you to support the channel, leave comments, and share. Because there are things that don't show up. There are things that don't appear. Boko Haram has kidnapped more than 400 women and children in Kenosha, in northwestern Nigeria. And they are demanding 2.7 million pounds sterling as ransom within 72 hours. They're threatening mass executions unless the government pays. And now what do we do? What can the average citizen do so that in a place in Ghosh, if it weren't for the fact that Boko Haram has kidnapped 400 people there, in this one, in this place on this planet, where people live in houses without roofs. Look, without a roof, without a roof. They have kidnapped 400 children that the world really cares about. I'm not going to say the word, but it starts with S, because we don't give a S. And a big one. If someone doesn't pay 2 or 3 million pounds, they'll massacre us in 72 hours. This news is from April 20th. There's no need to gather the money anymore. They're dead. Did you see it on TV? Did you see the Pope? Did he say anything? We're going to ask ChatGPT a question I like to ask from time to time ever since I discovered it. Careful. This is new to me. Although we shouldn't even be asking this question. In that state, which is Borno State, 85% of the population is Muslim, 7% is Christian, and 7% follow traditional religions. I don't think Boko Haram usually kidnaps Muslims, though they sometimes do. Be careful, because these people don't care. But the fact of classifying human beings as more or less important, whether they're Christians, Muslims, or believe in traditional religions, for us as human beings, that's already degrading. Simply labeling a child as Jewish, Muslim, Christian, Buddhist, or whatever is already classifying that the life of that human being is worth less than others, or that it's more important, or that you are more aware of it than of others. I think the Pope's words are wrong. I think he does it without realizing it, something that happens very commonly in society. But I find it interesting. Look, there's a tiny dot on this planet where some guys got in. They have kidnapped 400 people. I can't imagine what the girls are going through. Gracias. And that's the situation we're in. Someone has to come and change all this. By the way, speaking of Starmer in the United Kingdom, some members of the UK Prime Minister's cabinet are holding secret talks about when to urge him to resign. Who should deliver the message to him? He's the one who's going to tell him. Maybe the Ayatollah can tell him. Mojaba can call Starmer on the phone and say, look, have people in your cabinet thought that you need to go? The Deputy Prime Minister of Lebanon, Mitri, you know there are Muslims and Christians in Lebanon. There are Maronites, there are Druze. You know that within the government is divided among Christians, Sunnis, Shiites. It's a mosaic. Well, here it comes. The Lebanese Deputy Minister, Mitri, and he tells Haddad, which is a Hezbollah media outlet, he says, we resorted to negotiations with Israel to avoid a long war. Instead of saying, well, we are negotiating with Israel to solve the Hezbollah problem and regain our sovereignty, no, we are negotiating so that Israel doesn't bomb us anymore. Well, bad news for Mitri, very bad news, Mitri. Because look at what's happening.
In Lebanon today.
The IDF is now using field artillery and the Air Force. To Hezbollah, this is how the ceasefire works. A basic principle. You do not approach the border. Because if you do, these things happen. Serial. Hezbollah keeps setting up rocket launchers. They keep sending equipment to the southern border of Lebanon. And that the ceasefire is simply a temporary pause. Today's images but this one is the one who needs to explain.
I promised you that we would change the face of the Middle East, and that's exactly what we're doing. First of all, in Iran, I had an excellent conversation with President Trump.
Gracias. He had an excellent conversation with President Trump. He is putting a lot of economic and military pressure on Iran. We have started a process to achieve a historic peace between Israel and Lebanon. It is clear to us that Hezbollah is trying to sabotage it. Thank you. By the way, Netanyahu, we wish you a speedy recovery. He has undergone surgery for the prostate. He says he's already cured. Congratulations to you. Congratulations. We're going from a serious guy to a not so serious guy. We're sticking with the same format today. It's just so beautiful. Bien. President Turnain.
Ukraine and in the Middle East. It should be remembered that Article 2 of that association agreement between the European Union and Israel, what it talks about is respecting international law, humanitarian law. And clearly, neither in Lebanon, no, certainly in the West Bank, nor of course in Gaza, is Israel respecting it. And that should also lead to reflect and to act.
Pedro Sanchez has gone to Cyprus, where Turkey occupies part of the island.
not to tell Turkey to leave the island and give the Cypriots their country back. He didn't go for that. He went to tell the other 26, or however many there are. Since many countries don't contribute, he went to tell them. At the meeting of European Union leaders that Israel needs to be sanctioned, this guy is the one who sold about 3 million euros worth, I think, so I don't exaggerate the amount. Dual-use material, meaning material that can be used as weapons, or for civilian use, but dual use, to Iran. And maybe if they sell it to someone else, look, I'll tell you the truth. They probably won't use it for weapons, but if they sell it to Iran, I have a certain feeling that they won't use it for anything good. Some guys who use 500 million liters of water a day in their entire business network to make rockets, just by making tunnels in the drilling, they dry up the lakes in Iran. Pedro, I think putting sanctions on Israel by the European Union. It will be hard to happen because some country will have some dignity. Or at least that's what we believe. But what Israel could do as a suggestion, this is just a suggestion, the Minister of Finance, I think it's Modric who holds the position. I think maybe Israel could reconsider investing the 3 billion euros it spends every year in Spain, in other places and countries. If there is a magnificent country that is even offering its army to go and fight, it's called Uganda. A green country. ¿Dónde está? Maybe we should invest in Somaliland, in Uganda. Where is it? Countries that are friendly with Israel. Because Israel is going to invest in a country whose policy is oriented towards anti-Semitism. Why? For what? The ballot box. Man Pedro Sánchez, they have censored the part where we took the ballots out of the boxes. They censored it. We had to delete it. Who knows who gave the order? The thing about the ballot boxes is that Pedro Sánchez, to become president of the PSOE, wanted to rig the vote by stuffing ballots. That's the new nickname that Pedro Sánchez has. The photo of the boy of the Pope. Wonderful. The school uniform. The drought issue is very interesting. We're going to see things we haven't seen until now. There's a place in Iran that fascinates me. It's called Lake Urmia. It's a beautiful place. Urmia. It's a lake that's over there. That Iran has dried it up to build its underground facilities. They've drained the water and turned it into a salt flat full of pollution. And we're actually going to see it live right here now. It's filling up. It's filling up with water. In the last few days, there's been rain. This doesn't mean that Iran is out of the drought. Please don't let anyone get the wrong idea, like people are saying out there. They're saying that now Iran's lakes are full, but there's still a drought. Please, let's be honest with these stories, because otherwise credibility goes down the drain. Iran. Gracias. Now we'll show Lake Urmia in the image and prepare the comparison template. Thank you. Lake Urmia is filling up. Let's see. Here we are. Yes, this is Lake Urmia. This is an image from 2021. You can see it's super polluted. Come on. The lake shores should come up to here. But of course, they had to drill through the mountain. They had to build tunnels. And for that, the drills need water, a lot of water. They had to build bunkers, and for that, they had to take water from the lake and dry it up. 3,1990. The images are incredible. This is 1990. 1989. Here it is. Of course, it's the lake. Year 2010. Yes. 13. 16. 19. 20. The present day. What has happened since the war began? Real footage, March 18. Lake Urmia. Let's see what happens on April 22. Changing image. You can see that water is getting in. See, a bit of water is getting in there. Let's take a look at it from up here. Day 17. We can see that there's water coming. Since Iran doesn't currently have the missile factories operating, the water that should naturally flow into the lake, it's not being taken out for those missile factories and all that in Tabriz, especially in the Tabriz area. All these complexes need water, a lot of water, but since they're not operating, well, the lake is recovering. Let's go see Tehran. We're going to see it now. Where am I going with this? At the moment when the Iranian regime stops putting pressure on the aquifers, the rivers, the lakes, to use all the machinery they have established there for making missiles and weapons. The lakes recover. It rains, and that water, which is for civilians, comes back. It's not really about more or less rain, though the radars and such might have some effect. Investigating that would require expertise I don't have. I'm not going to get into the topic. But what is clear is that Iran's water use before the war and after the war is different. And that means a problem. Here's one explanation. On social media, people claim it's a blessing from God for fighting the great Satan. No, that's not it. It's the water from the desert, from the mountains, the water from the Zagros desert, the rainwater that comes in. Doesn't go directly to the factories. That water is preserved. Look, an image of, let's put it in here. I'm trying, it's loading really slowly. Please be patient. I'm going to show you one of the lakes. It's closer to Tehran. With a photo from February before the war began. And with an image from after the war started. That's what happened there. That's what took place. So that you all realize all the elements that are involved in these kinds of situations, operations, or whatever you want to call them. All right. Let's see what we have here. See. Look at this. Here you can see a lake that was already dry. This used to provide water to the city, to Tehran. Look at how it is. Estaba ya. The water couldn't even be drunk anymore because what's left there is just residue of water contaminated with fertilizers and things like that, just the residue. Look at the color of the water. Look at this. April 21, 2026. I want you to see it this way. I think the image speaks for itself. So it's not that there was a drought in Iran, because it's not like it's pouring rain there and they're building a Noah's Ark to live through the Strait of Hormuz, waiting for God to make the waters reset in Iran. Nothing to do with it. In fact, let's look at what the weather is like there to see if it's pouring, to check if some kind of deluge is happening, and we haven't noticed it. There's not a single drop of water. Or here, it's not pouring rain. Look where the storms are happening. What's going on? Did we here? and there isn't some kind of cataclysm that's filling the lakes and rivers of Iran. Here's the forecast for the next few days. You also need this for the military operation. Some clouds come in, they pour down, and then they leave. That is the amount of rain that's falling. Or how much rain is expected. Sunday is going to have bad weather. Let's see, a storm. These are storms that are very strong when they come in, they hit really hard. They're normal in this region. It's part of the climate here. When it rains really hard. The water accumulates and stays in the lakes. What happens is that if you extract the water as soon as it falls, because you have to reel through mountains, you have to supply the refinery, forges, for example, for metals, that whole metallurgical industry, that's where you find yourself. Obviously, it won't be enough. On social media, they're saying that the United States had weapons with Israel that were pushing the clouds away. Rain, it rains, but it's not actually raining as much as it needs to. In other words, the water isn't being reserved for the use it's supposed to have. Just imagine that. But that's exactly what's happening. The world looks the other way. What does the White House say? Is J.D. Vance going to Islamabad or not? Why go to Islamabad if they're attacking?
And so Steve and Jared will go to Pakistan tomorrow to listen to the Iranians.
Tomorrow confirmed. Jarek and Witkoff are going tomorrow.
Se ha hecho y esperamos que la positividad. We hope that the positivity.
We hope that there will be progress.
Let's hope
that there will be developments.
And we will see. And the
Let's see. Authorization. The Secretary of State, Marco.
will be waiting here
They will be waiting here
in the United States for updates, and
for updates.
the president, will understand, is on and ready to strike Pakistan.
If we reach an agreement, we'll send J.D. Vance to sign.
Time and a necessary time.
They're sending Witkoff and Kushner again. When they send Witkoff and Kushner, when they send him, they end up attacking Iran. It's a kind of ritual. They send Kushner and Witkoff and end up attacking Iran. All right. Let's see how the weekend goes. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting. This new chapter. Family. What do you all think? What do you think about this? Let's quickly go through the super chats with the whole community that's been there supporting us, to thank them. Here's the thing. I think... What is it? Simply time. We send them for the last time. They make this kind of scene, then they make up the whole story. The world sees we've tried to negotiate, but we prepare what we have to prepare. Many thanks to Sol Calderón for that super chat. Thank you, Sol. It's a real pleasure to have you as a member of this community. Sol Pala, welcome. Manuel, grateful to Estrategias and his team. Thanks to the moderators who are always there. Thanks for everything. Take care. Hugs the Sanidas. Estrategias, I didn't end up sleeping. It's impossible with this channel. But when you enjoy something, it doesn't bother you. Always a pleasure to watch your show. Glad you stayed awake. The show was great. You know that now at night, in the early morning, we do very interesting shows. There aren't as many people, but they're very interesting. With a summary of the day, of everything that's happening. Don't miss it. Maria, thank you. Samuel, what is the Iranian Maduro saying? Haven't heard from him today. We don't know yet. We don't know about the representative from Hambilla, the headquarters. What's being said out there? Khamenei is not dead. He's out partying. Bardkok. Khamenei is out partying. Sam, good life. He has relied on strategies. What happens if May 2nd comes and the war is still going on? The United States Congress does not authorize Trump. Next, Trump could continue the blockade of Hormuz by decree. He could keep attacking Iran, depending on the circumstances. It depends on what's there. They'll come up with something to make it happen. Cynthia, thank you very much. Zule. Estrategias, health, and prosperity to you. Great moderators, thank you. Yvette, thank you very much. Soledad, thank you for your work. Marco, thank you very much. Thank you, Estrategias and moderators, for the information, effort, and organization that make this channel enjoyable. Gracias. The truth is that the moderators do an amazing job. By the way, I want to send a hug to Willow Kira. Thank you. He will be with us again soon, and he is greatly missed. Jesus, something's about to happen. The stock market's up today. Let it go, let it go. Hogarth, thanks a lot for the super chat, my friend. Well, that's how things are. Family, we're heading over to Enlace Judío. The return of Dr. Irving Gattel after being censored. He's about to tell what he's never told before. Please send him your regards. Gracias to our friend and esteemed Irving Gattel and to our friends at Enlace Judío. We'll see you in the next program here on Estrategias Militares. Take care.